Hey guys, Big Bird 6.7, Tall, Dark, and Creepy, coming to you live. I'm going to talk about something that quite a few of us, if not all of us, all go through. It's called DHS, those people. Now, if you don't know who DHS is, and you have kids, they usually get involved when a child or a dispute is involved when two parents with kids get involved, or they're in a domestic dispute, or there's an overly active child that's misbehaving past that point that it has caused some controversy within the city, within the home, or within the state, limits of what they're able to do, or even at school, and DHS is usually called. For instance, if a kid stabs a teacher at their school, parent has nothing to do with it, DHS is called because that has something to do with the child. This video is merely talking about the paradox of why people don't like DHS. There's a lot of reasons why. And considering that I've had to deal with them personally myself, I don't like them. Now, don't get me wrong, I do respect some of the DHS workers that do their job. And yes, they all do their job. It's the ones that really actually, do their job and pertain to what it's really like to help a family rather than dragging it through the dirt. Because they'll say, I've met a few DHS workers that says, oh man, yeah, I have like 4 kids on my own. My kids don't act like this. When there's something happen, I usually try to figure out a way to get them to calm down. No, whatever, kill yourself. Some main reasons why people don't like DHS is because one of the most top reasons why, they will take the kids that are not getting abused. And I mean, it can be 2 kids that are all constantly fighting. The one that causes the incident or instigated runs away quite often, and the cops get called, or there's so much violence between the 2 kids, not the adults, the kids, that when DHS get brought into the situation, they blame the parents. And then they actually take the kids, not wanting to, they take the kids from the parents. They make the parents go through hell and high water, drag them through the mud, curse their name, make it seem like the parents haven't done anything. And the parents could have actually taken these kids to family therapy, mental health, try to find out what's the reason why the 2 older siblings or the kids themselves that have problems behave like the way they do. And DHS were writing reports, and I've seen it while being in the courthouse, while some actual families were saying DHS actually wrote down that all what they did meant nothing. Because when DHS came in the picture, and they could have had their kids going to therapy for like years, 5, 8 years, maybe even 10 years of all their life. Well, I would say probably like from the age of 2 all the way up till, say, maybe when they're 15 years old. Because some kids have those problems where if a mom leaves the picture, they freak out. And I mean by leaving the picture as in they're no longer in the family anymore. Mom dies, or just mom says, well, I'm just going to up and leave. Same goes for dad. And if the dad just ups and leaves, kids freak out because they depend on that person. And DHS will make it seem like all the effort you just put in didn't mean diddly squat. That they came in like Captain Save-A-Lot and did all the work for you. And that's what they'll write in the papers, even when you provide paperwork saying that that's what you did. Because then the next thing is that when you go into a courtroom, they don't ever actually tell the judge what you've done. They just tell the judge what you've done per se, what they wanted you to do. Their plan of what to do to help you back and to help you get your kids back. And you could have already done all these things, and they don't tell the judges at all what you've previously did. by taking your kid to mental therapies, and trying to find help, they don't ever tell that judge that. The judge never knows. And if you mention it, it's like you get that window to do so, but your lawyer says, who's also working with DHS, no, don't do that. We got this taken care of. We're going to mention this. We're going to get all this stuff dropped. And they'll tell you that they're going to get it dropped, but when you get your paperwork from that court session, it's not going to show that you got it dropped. Another reason why people don't like DHS is because their methods of trying to calm a kid down, that I've seen personally myself, that they've came and picked up kids at their home, took these kids to their home, then brought them back to the house with things that they shouldn't even had. Like, I've seen a girl go through a case where her daughter was picked up by a DHS worker. That worker took this girl to the movies because she was at a session. She freaked out because she was talking with one of the therapists. She didn't like what the therapist had to say. Destroyed some of the therapist's office. And I don't mean like, throw a few things here and there in paperwork. No. As in, toss her office, computer, her desk, her paperwork, her books on the walls, her toys on the floor. Stormed out the office, slammed the door so hard against the wall, bust a hole in the wall with the doorknob, goes and locks herself in the actual office bathroom that's on that floor, which prevented any other further guest that was in that area to use the bathroom. They had to call, and since she was a girl, the fire department to come take down the door. And the fact is that the DHS worker looked at the lady and told her, oh, well, you didn't seem like you really cared. The lady responded, what am I supposed to do? The girl's in DHS custody. You guys are supposed to be here to actually help solve this. I'm here for also support for being here with this family therapy time between the mother and the child was in DHS custody. So they should have been the ones doing all the, doing something here. DHS, you guys hear me talk quite often about when I was a jailer. And I would throw this in while I was a CO. Now, while I was in there, I was able to work in the juvenile camps. In the juvenile camps, I got a chance to actually talk with some of the juveniles about their cases. Not as a lawyer-wise, they would just, when they was cleaning up, they would actually, talk to them about their cases. And this is what I mean by DHS workers don't really give a damn about, who they really want to actually support. They only go by what they feel is necessary for themselves, or what they feel is supposedly helping the family, but they neglect the child itself. One of the inmates, who will remain nameless, he told me he killed his stepmom and didn't kill his actual real dad. Purpose of it was because the stepmom was constantly beating him. Every day when the dad went to work, she would actually beat the kid. And I don't mean beat, I mean brutally beat this kid. He showed me a few marks around his neck and on his arms, and he said he had tons of them on his back and on his chest, and I believe him. And these marks, you could tell they were fresh within a year prior to him doing what he did. And he took this pain for about, 3 years? Every day when he went to school, he would try to talk to one of the counselors. And the counselors would call the dad, and they would get involved with this because he would go to school with fresh marks. This is from what he told me. Now, from when I looked at his case, from that he was willing to share with me that I didn't ask, he openly showed me this. I went ahead and started talking to him. And I told him, you got a big life ahead of you. I was trying to really give the guy some young, positive motivation of what to do when he get out of this place. Yeah, what he did was wrong. But at the same time, I didn't agree with him. In my mind, I kind of told myself I understand why he did it. But what came out of my mouth was, still that was in the wrong. I would at least stay at school and call the cops till somebody would have seen those marks. But the situation that happened at the school, it wound up being the school would call, but it would be the stepmom who would disguise herself as the actual dad. And this went on, for a couple of weeks. And she would play as everything was okay. Then she would question him. Then he was telling me it was a detailed story. And so when he found out that his dad had a revolver one day, he didn't even actually, and the way he found it from what he told me, he said he went home and didn't see her car. So he went in, and when he wasn't supposed to be watching TV, because he took the remote from his dad's room and actually, and went to the living room and started watching TV. The stepmom came home. He heard the car come up. He ran to the room. By the time he was actually, trying to remember where he got the remote, she had walked in the room, and when he opened the door, he realized there was a revolver in there, but he threw the remote in there and actually just shot it. And he had told me that same day, she beat him again. So when he eventually got fed up with it, or the beatings, he remembered what that revolver was. And the day she was sleeping, he went in there and shot her twice. Then called his dad and told him what he did. And yet, the times where DHS was involved in all of this, the dad actually, from what he said, was his dad was taking classes as well as going to work, which in a way I kind of think that was making it worse, considering that they seen it as it was nothing but behavioral problems that he just needed to actually calm down on. But yet they were sending the dad, where the stepmom had even more time to actually beat on this kid, and nothing happens to her. And so when he killed her, then all of a sudden, oh man, it's a big deal, it's a big story. But as for that young man, hopefully one day he'll actually he'll come out on top, find somewhere else, leave the state that we're currently in, and he'll hopefully live a better life. Now, in that case, not only should the school actually took more care to appreciating that he's coming forth to light to actually talk to someone about this, the school should at least look into the situation a lot more by calling DHS themselves instead of just having a parent conference, which I don't know the full story, so I can't give the full actual light to that. But a few actual incidents I've come across, DHS actually took a neighbor of mine, kids, just because the kid did not want to listen to the parent. And she made up a story of how the family was actually abusing her, and she does nothing wrong, and she felt that the family hated her and they were out to, get her. And come to find out, this girl was batshit crazy, fighting everybody that she wanted to fight. Didn't care who it was. And when it came down to the whole being responsible for her actions and consequences, no, I don't want to do that. I want the family to suffer. And the family wound up going through a lot, because it wound up being the mom and dad was on the brink of actually getting arrested. which they never did. But the kids got taken away. And then the kid, the daughter wound up actually, she wound up going for like some months before she eventually came back home. And she felt that since the family was too boring and that they're nothing but boring and they're not going to give her what she wants, being that she's a damn kid, considering, now when I say by kid, I'm going to go ahead and put your mindset between the age of 8 and 11. In that age frame, that's how old she is. So she wound up doing all of that, and since she spent so much time away from the family, she felt that's what she wanted. That if she acts up or tells more lies against the family, she'll get taken away and get a better home. And that's what DHS did. That's what DHS did directly. And see, that's what I don't agree with. I don't agree with DHS saying, hey, you look into a situation, but you don't thoroughly look into it. It's like being a police officer. In order to, because as a police officer and as a DHS worker, I see it as since I'm a Libra, I see it as you are the middleman. You are you're Madam Justice, who's either going to tip the scale of good or bad and see what plays out. And I believe if you're going to be a DHS worker, you got to know what to listen to and what not to listen to, where this really goes, how much it really goes for, considering that, the family can have videos of what this kid does, and they'll take what the kid says over the videos. And that's like saying you believe the child versus a video that can have them on camera doing something, and you're going to take the child's word. That's unfair. And that's what makes a lot of people dislike DHS workers, including myself. Because if you're going to be DHS, you got to be all in to where I told myself, if I was a DHS worker, I would have to actually listen. I would have to go to a home, see what the problem is, see if there's any kind of actual, or foul play that'll really determine, okay, what's all really going on here. Another reason why I dislike DHS workers because they come off cocky. Like if you say the wrong thing to them, they're going to see a reason to send you to more classes, spend more of your time, more of your money, more of your gas, just to bow to the whim of them. And I think that's beyond messed up. That's the reason why I would think most DHS workers, or most people who have to deal with DHS, don't like them. It's like the people who have to actually hand out service. Well, it has to go out service orders. Or like when, or the same attitude going towards when people who, Jehovah's Witnesses or Baptists or Christians come up to homes and people ask them, I appreciate it, but no thank you. And instead of whoever is trying to actually promote their faith says, well, thank you, you have a good day and be blessed, instead of walking off, they like to actually read scriptures. And it's like, they just told you no. Have that respect and just say, okay, you just said no, I'm going to kick rocks. Thank you. No, they have to be that little, poking at a fly with his wings cut off. When they do something like that, that's more, I see it as they're insulting or abusive to their authority. Just like with the buff officers who like to go and get jacked up and think just because they're wearing a badge, they can go and talk crap to any inmate that they want to. Same thing with a DHS worker. Just because they're a DHS and they work for the state, they can do whatever they want just because that's what they're supposed to do. And with that being said, I believe that's not right in any shape, form, or fashion, but yet it is what it is. That's what they're supposed to do. Not entirely, but that's what they're supposed to do. Because they feel, okay, this is my rank and power. That's what I'm going to do. You have nothing to say for it. More other actual reasons why DH workers actually get the bad reputations because they misinterpret what you say to them, or they'll take by what you say for what they're going to run with. Say, for instance, my wife and I had a DHS worker come over, my wife and I had like a domestic dispute, and just so happened, it was over, we'll say dinner, and her and I were arguing, and one of the kids called the police, and we told the officer we had an argument between ourselves over dinner. It got a little heated, and none of us was walking away. And 9 times out of 10, if I was an officer, I would actually say, okay, well, if you two are both agreeing that this is just an argument, then one of you need to actually leave. Go leave for 6 hours. Instead of leaving for an hour, go leave for 6 hours, go stay out a friend, whatever the case may be. Cool off. And in that time frame, no one comes, he or she doesn't come back. Then when they do come back, after that 6 hours, we hear another situation again, somebody's going to go to jail, and that's that. But if an officer's like, oh man, these two are having problems, let's bring DHS into this, they come over there, DHS question the parents and say, well, look, we've been going through marriage counseling, and the first thing, and I've heard people complain about DHS for taking this one line so serious that they took it as, they just ran with how the way they said it. And I heard a couple say that they were having marital problems, that they went to they went to marital counseling. And everybody knows you can go to marital counseling for anything. If you're having actual intimacy problems, what you could do. If you're not confident with talking with a doctor, you want to talk with your wife, you just want to do it, together. That's one thing. You can go there and say, hey, man, we lost the spark to our marriage. What can we do to keep this flame going? That's another thing. If you're having disagreements where you have certain habits and she has certain habits, but you two can't comply and compete with each other, that's another thing. There can be a lot of reasons why you can go into marriage counseling. But I've heard one actual incident that a DHS worker took it as, since they were having marital problems, they were in a domestic violent dispute, an abusive relationship, and that's why they were going into marriage counseling. She wrote that, from what I was told, she wrote that on a report, and that's the reason why they were going to marital counseling. I told myself, are you really serious? And what was funny is that the lady got it on video too. Now, the fact is that she put that on there and said, oh no, I'll take it off. And yet it still said, hey, they got it on the report. So look, this lady is actually telling, they lie on some reports, just like police would do it. Now, I've always told myself, no matter what happens, even if it's bizarre, stupid, I tell the truth on all reports I've ever written. From any accidental reports to any reports I've worked with, while I was working with the sheriffs, any reports I was working ever, I've always told myself I would never lie on a report, not even for somebody else. Because if you do so, and they get, found guilty, it goes right to you, a RICO. So, when this lady put that on there, it was like, well, what the F? It's kind of messed up how that's what happens though. Another thing is that some DHS workers will go as far as over-treating the kid or kids with too much comfort that they need to, where they'll fish line them. They'll fish them. Because there's been incidents I've seen before, and even an incident that's actually, and I've had DHS in my life before, and it sucks, that they've, the DHS workers said, well, they want to take the kid out And when the kid came back, they had a scrutiny of just materialistic BS. Like, where do they get actual, crayons, books, and papers? And I get it, it's actually constructive, and it's something to actually, help relieve that tension or something to actually do. But why would you give a kid some elongated actual scissors, and they've been known to cut themselves? Why would you give a kid, why would you take a kid to the movies while there wasn't a facility? And these are, instances I've come across. While there wasn't a facility, by the way, I've never worked for DHS, just throwing that out there. While there wasn't a facility, they decided to destroy a wall-mounted enclosed cage. Oh, sorry. It was a wall-mounted and cage enclosed TV. Why would you reward them for breaking one of those? Now, to anybody who's ever been to jail or prison, when you got fresh favorites, that's something right there that's really rare to have, especially in jail or prison. And when you do have it, it's one of those things that you enjoy every little bit of it. It leads them to the point of, I've seen heard of an incident where a DHS worker actually taking, and this was actually accounted by a few other people who came across the same DHS worker, where she took this kid who just broke a TV, hit a kid in the eye, gave him a black eye, scratched another kid, and took all their fresh favorites, because most of the kids who actually had family time actually leave the premises with a family. Then they were able to leave for like a certain amount of time a day. Then they came back, and the kids that weren't able to leave, they all was able to get something ordered on a fresh favorite free of charge, that they were allowed to actually order like some hamburgers, chicken wings, grilled cheese sandwich, something they had on the menu. And this one particular kid, she since she supposedly didn't order what she wanted, but she did because she even signed her name on the ticket to actually go for it, because that's what she asked. She destroyed every other kid's fresh favorites, including the actual counselor's fresh favorites that they ordered, and one other person's lunch, and then tried to do it again when they reordered all the fresh favorites for everyone, because she didn't like that. And that's the thing, is that I'm a firm believer. I was brought up back in the 80s, and I was a firm believer, and back then it was that talking to an adult like you know them, you own them. If you've grown up to talk back, then you've grown up to get smacked up. And with kids these days, you got to be careful with that. You can't do that. Also, I don't want to say you can't, you're not allowed to. And it's frowned upon. But if kids knew this generation of the 90s that I kind of grew up in the 80s I was, coming up in, they don't know all this, talk to the hand, I want to actually talk to you, slamming doors. They would have got their ass kicked. Or when a kid's actually hit an adult, they think, oh, they slammed me, I want to keep complaining all this crap. Then no, that's not happening. But kids get away with that. And what I didn't understand with this particular DHS worker, she took this kid to the movies. After this kid did all this destruction, she took this kid to the movies. This particular DHS worker, which will remain anonymous, took a kid to the movies just because she destroyed some stuff to help calm her down. First of all, how the fuck are you supposed to calm a kid down from doing something like that? What are you going to do, talk to them on the way, while you're in the car, while you're parking it, while you're walking up to the actual movie theater? No kid wants to talk about what the hell they just did. Hey, if you calm down, we'll go see a movie. Okay. High five. Let's go. Stop. Hey, what movie you want to see? I don't know. Let's go see this movie. When is that supposed to happen? And that's the thing I don't believe in. I don't believe in rewarding for misbehaving. I'm just an average dad who's a military veteran, who's worked hard all my life, put up with a lot, gave up a lot, and yet I deal with a lot, personally myself. And it's what I see that's out here that kind of disgusts me with the way people says, well, they want this for that kid, they want that for that kid. And for those who don't know, I am a talkative person, I'm loquacious, and you will hear me say that word quite often. That's the reason why we got almost a 31-minute video. But that's my venting on some reasons why people don't like DHS workers. And then on top of that, they feel that when they're in your home, they can kind of disrespect it. Because I've had one actually sit in my home, and since she decided to, for some reason, my screen door was broken out of the incident because she didn't know how to actually close my screen door, which is pretty simple. You just open and close, turn the knob, let the actual locking mechanism disable, you shut it back, it locks on its own, so nobody actually presses it for no reason. Yeah, they come in your home and they act like they're like, almost like negotiators sometimes when they come in your home, where they talk to you like they know you. Anyways, I'm gonna get off this video. Leave your comments in there. Hopefully sometime soon I'll have some videos where I'm shooting this at home, showing you guys some of my plants I'm actually growing. My unicorn. I do random things. I'm just an average Joe who's just me. Anyways, hope you guys take care of yourselves. If you decide to leave a comment, by all means, tell me what your actual DHS experiences were like. I'm always willing to listen. I myself just always never liked DHS workers that much. The few that I've ever came across that was actually some decent and pretty good, they seen the case and immediately asked, well, why do you even have a case in the first place? That some even believe that this was just nothing but, behavioral problems by a kid, or this was actually, the few I've actually seen that was pretty decent. Instead of what they did was they wrote reports, or they told me how they, managed some cases where they was able to get the kids removed from the house only temporarily, that didn't even need to go to court. But if a mom was actually doing drugs, yeah, of course it went to court. If the dad was actually, dad and the mom had domestic disputes between each other, instead of giving the kids to one or the other, to where it can be felt that harm can be done to either or of the kids, or either or of the actual adult itself, like the dad retaliates for the mom having the kids, and the mom retaliates for the dad having the kids by saying, well, I'm going to put you on child support. The mom will say nothing to the dad, or the dad physically harms the mom by possibly killing them and killing the kids. Who knows? I've come across a few DHS workers who will actually listen, who balances the equation, which that's a good thing. And I've come across a few officers as well who will balance the equation. It's a matter of what's fair and what's not. Nothing really is fair. Nothing's really always systematic and probable of how things will come out. It's just a matter of how the dice roll and how it all ends in the end, how it all goes in the end. A better way of saying it. But it is what it is. I'll do another video soon. See you guys later.